That's all of them. What's up, guys? So we got some keyboards to talk about today. So, in today's video, we are obviously going to talk about Arturia Midi Keyboards. Arturia has a number of different MIDI keyboard options these days, and they've kind of got something for everybody. But with all the options available, it can get a little confusing trying to figure out which option is best for you. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the different MIDI keyboard options available from Arturia. This comparison isn't going to include any of the sequencer controllers. We'd be here all day. We're just going to compare the keyboard controllers, and believe me, that's plenty to get through in one video. So I have used each of these keyboards pretty extensively. Definitely have some thoughts to share with you guys. Real quick, before we get into this comparison, my friends over at Arturia have partnered with me on a little giveaway. Details for that giveaway will be at the end of this video, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you like this video if you think it's good. Let's get into the comparison. All right. So, starting us off is the Arturia MicroLab. This is one of the newer offerings from Arturia. It came out end of 2019, and I think this MIDI keyboard is best for somebody whose top priority is travel and portability. The MicroLab's minimal features and its rubberized edge make this MIDI keyboard a small yet rugged option that's perfect for on the go. This rubberized edge does come in orange, blue, or black. Plus, you've got your USB cable built right in and it wraps around the keyboard controller, which is super handy. Great design by Arturia. It's one less thing you have to worry about when you're throwing your gear in your bag. Of course, with this smaller form factor, you won't be getting things like drum pads or knobs and faders. What you do have are these two touch strips, which control your pitch bend and your modulation. You, of course, have your octave buttons. You have a sustain button because there is no sustain pedal jack on this keyboard. You also have this chord trigger feature, which allows you to program a chord to a single note. This keyboard is definitely minimal in its design and features, but the keybed is definitely one of the best features of this keyboard. You have 25 high-quality velocity-sensitive keys, that's 2 octaves. And these keys, even though they are mini, they are small, they are slim, they're still a lot bigger and a lot more expressive and just nicer to play than a lot of the other keyboards that you find at this price point. Included software is something that is of great significance when talking about Arturia MIDI keyboards. Their plugins are modeled after some of the most iconic vintage synthesizers and vintage keyboards. And the software included with Arturia MIDI keyboards will give you access to some or all of these sounds. The MicroLab comes bundled with UVI's Grand Piano Model D, which includes several beautifully sampled piano sounds. It includes Bitwig Studio 8-track, which is an intro DAW. And most significantly, the MicroLab comes bundled with Analog Lab Lite. Analog Lab is Arturia's software suite. It operates in standalone as well as inside your DAW. And within Analog Lab, you'll have access to all of your Arturia software instruments, over 600 different preset sounds, and it's definitely a great intro into the world of Arturia keyboard sounds. The MicroLab retails for under $100. Prices may vary depending on where you're shopping. Right now, Amazon and Sweetwater both have this keyboard listed for $89. So I'll definitely include links in the description below, but that's gonna wrap it up for the Arturia MicroLab. So next up, let's check out the MiniLab Mk2. This was actually my first Arturia MIDI keyboard. It's gotten a ton of use. I've traveled a ton with this keyboard. I've used it a ton in my studio. So I hold the MiniLab Mk2 very near and dear to my heart. I think this keyboard is ideal for someone who wants something that, yes, still is portable, but has a few more features than something like the MicroLab. We have the same keybed that's found in the MicroLab, the 25 slim velocity-sensitive keys, same touch strips for our pitch and modulation. We have our octave controls, things like that. But the overall design and weight feels a little bit more premium. We've got the Arturia logo on the back here. We've got the wood grain design decal on the side. But the overall design and weight just feels substantially more premium than the MicroLab. You've got 16 rotary encoder knobs. These are nice and sturdy, nice and premium feeling. And this will just give you some extra functionality and control over your software instruments and your DAW. Of course, we have our 8 velocity sensitive RGB backlit pads. And you also have this button up here which will allow you to bank between 2 different sets of drum sounds. On the back, you can see you have your USB port. This keyboard is USB bus powered, so no power adapter or power supply needed. And you also have a sustain pedal or foot switch input. The MiniLab Mk2 also comes with the UVI Grand Piano D and Analog Lab Lite, just like the MicroLab. It also comes with Ableton Live Lite, which is an intro version of the Ableton Live digital audio workstation. Last but not least, this keyboard, of course, comes in the iconic white Arturia colorway, as well as this super dope inverted colorway. I haven't gotten my hands on one yet. I don't really need it, but I kind of want one because it looks so cool. This MIDI keyboard will run you right around $100. I'll include links in the description below. I also do believe that the inverted colorway is a little bit more expensive. But that's going to wrap it up for one of my all-time faves, the MiniLab Mk2. All right, so now it's time to start talking about the big boys. Can we even get this whole thing in the frame? Boom. This is the KeyLab Essential 88, and this is the latest release from Arturia to the KeyLab Essential line. And the way that I think about the Essential line is you're getting the essentials. Yes, we're starting to get into some premium features, but you're getting the essential features, not all of the features. Does that make sense? It's at least how I think of it. Now, the KeyLab Essential MIDI keyboards come in 3 different sizes: 49 keys, 61 keys, and 88 keys. For the most part, these 3 keyboards are very similar. The 88 key version, however, has a different key bed. On the 49 and 61 key versions, you get a velocity sensitive key bed. It looks and feels like a synth action key bed. The KeyLab Essential 88, however, you get a velocity sensitive key bed with a hybrid synth piano feel. So these keys are semi-weighted, they feel super nice, and it's a nice blend between a traditional piano and a synthesizer. Let's quickly talk about some of the controls that you get with the KeyLab Essential. This will be consistent across all 3 size options. Starting all the way on our left, you have your pitch wheel and your modulation wheel. These are plastic and they have sort of a matte rubberized texture similar to the texture of the knobs. You have your octave controls. You have this chord play button, which is similar to what we saw on the MicroLab. And then you have this transpose button, which is great to have on the keyboard itself. You have 8 RGB backlit velocity sensitive pads. You have this DAW command center, which will give you some transport controls, as well as some project shortcuts like save and undo. Just speeds up workflow a little bit. It's nice to have these controls right on the keyboard itself. And then this center section here is going to interface with and control Analog Lab. You can use these controls to select the type of instrument you want, browse different styles, different specific synthesizers, keyboards, or pianos, and then you can select from different presets created by either Arturia, or you can create your own presets and browse those. And then once you have your preset selected, we go over to the next section of the keyboard and you have these different knobs and faders, which will allow you to tweak or modify your instrument sound. And yes, all 3 KeyLab Essential models do come bundled with Analog Lab. The full version of Analog Lab gives you access to over 6,500 presets from over 30 classic keyboards and synthesizers. Analog Lab is a $200 value, and it is the bow on top of the pretty package that is the KeyLab Essential. The connections on the back of the KeyLab Essentials include MIDI out, so you can control any MIDI compatible synths, outboard and modular gear, a sustain pedal input, USB input. This keyboard is USB bus powered, and then you have a DC power input. The KeyLab Essential comes in the iconic Arturia white finish. KeyLab Essential 49 retails for $249. The KeyLab Essential 61 retails for $299. And then the KeyLab Essential 88 with the upgraded semi-weighted keybed retails for $399. You usually will see these keyboards listed for about $50 less on sites like Amazon and Sweetwater. Keep in mind, prices do fluctuate a little bit. Of course, links will be in the description, but that's gonna wrap it up for the KeyLab Essential MIDI keyboards. So last up, we've got the creme de la creme, the best of the bunch, the KeyLab Mk2. And this is my personal MIDI keyboard of choice. It is just so sleek, so compact. The metal housing makes it super durable and super premium. It's packed with controls and features. And to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot that the KeyLab Mk2 can't do. do. Now, much like the KeyLab Essential, the KeyLab Mk2 does come in 3 different sizes, a 49 key version, a 61 key version, and of course an 88 key version. Now the KeyLab Mk2 88 is kind of in a class of its own. The 88 key version is similar to the smaller sizes in its controls, in the way it interfaces with your digital audio workstation or with Analog Lab. The 88 key version, however, has a completely different key bed. It comes with 88 velocity and pressure sensitive fully weighted keys, so it feels a lot more like an actual piano. It also comes with this flat stand so you can rest your computer on the keyboard itself, which is great if you're out playing live. The KeyLab Mk2 88 is also much bigger, much thicker, much heavier than the 61 and 49 key versions. I don't have a KeyLab 88 Mk2 in the studio to check out with you guys, but I will be sure to link to a video down below if you are more interested in that model. Let's talk about the 61 key and the 49 key versions though. These 2 models are identical, except of course for their difference in size. First, let's talk about the key bed. This is a synth action key bed with velocity and pressure sensitive keys. And to my knowledge, this is the same key bed that is found in the Matrix Brute, which is Arturia's top of the line $2,500 synthesizer. And this key bed is awesome. The keys feel super smooth, super responsive. Starting on the left, our controls begin with the pitch and the modulation wheel. These feel very similar to the pitch and modulation wheel on the KeyLab Essential. However, these wheels are metal. They feel super premium, super smooth. Then we have the same octave controls, transpose, and chord features that were found on the KeyLab Essential. However, these buttons are a little bit nicer, again, a little more premium. Then you have these 16 multi-purpose performance drum pads. Really nice to have 16 pads, gives you a little bit more of that MPC vibe. Over here in our DAW command center, you can see you have a lot more DAW commands available to you. And your DAW commands have these magnetic overlays, and these controls will differ depending on which DAW you are working in. And then of course below that, you have some transport controls. And then once again, the centerpiece of this MIDI keyboard is this command center. Now with the KeyLab Mk2, you have a little bit more of an in-depth command center. This command center can do just a little bit more than the KeyLab Essential. You can of course still use this control center to navigate and control Analog Lab. You can also use this to control your DAW itself. You can use the jog wheel to navigate around your project. You can use the knobs and faders to control different things. And then you have a user function which will allow you to map this keyboard controller however you want. So very similar to the control center that's on the KeyLab Essential, just with a few more bells and whistles. Now as we go over here to the knobs and faders on the KeyLab Mk2, again, these are very similar to the knobs and faders on the KeyLab Essential, but the faders have a little bit more travel. They feel a little bit smoother and a little bit more sturdy to me, and the knobs feel a little bit more premium. And if you look at these 8 buttons underneath your faders, these are shortcuts to use within Analog Lab. So if you select piano, for example, within Analog Lab, that will bring up all of your piano sounds. And if you want to check out my full walkthrough and in-depth look at this KeyLab Mk2, I'll link it up right here. There's a lot more details in that video. It'll give you everything you need to know about this MIDI keyboard. Now on the back of all of these KeyLab Mk2s, we have a ton of different connectivity options. We have CV outputs and MIDI ins and outs, again for controlling modular gear, Eurorack systems. Really any MIDI compatible device can connect to this keyboard controller. You have a bunch of different input jacks, sustain pedal, expression pedal, 3 different auxiliary jacks. You have your USB input. Again, this keyboard is USB bus powered. You have your optional DC power and a power switch. The KeyLab Mk2 61 and 49 key versions come in either a black or a white finish, and they come bundled with Analog Lab, Ableton Live Lite, and Piano V, which is Arturia's piano plugin. The KeyLab Mk2 88 comes in a white finish, and it comes bundled with Analog Lab, Ableton Live Lite, Piano V, as well as Arturia's Wurlitzer and Vox Continental plugins. Can confirm both of these sound amazing. So that's gonna wrap it up for the KeyLab Mk2. Whew! How you guys doing? I'm exhausted, frankly. Can only imagine how confused and exhausted you feel, but hopefully this video helped you decide which Arturia MIDI keyboard is right for you. Let's get into the giveaway and we'll get the heck out of here. Now, the wonderful people over at Arturia have partnered with me to give away a full V Collection 7 bundle to one of you guys. This will give you full access to all of Arturia's vintage keyboard and synthesizer plugins. Check out the full list right here. That's a lot of keyboards. This plugin bundle is a $500 value, and this is without a doubt one of the coolest things that I've ever given away on this channel. All you have to do to be entered to win is make sure you're subscribed to this channel and you hit that notification bell, and then leave a like and a comment on this video. Best of luck to all of you, and again, special thanks to my friends at Arturia for making this giveaway possible. But guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. It's a pleasure as always getting to hang out with you. Until next time, my name's Patrick. I'll catch y'all soon, all right? Peace. So it's time to talk about the big guys, the big guns. I don't know why I just did the Jurassic Park theme and played this like a guitar. Anyway.